now we're going to look through an important factor that comes into any Premier League season, and that is the ins and the outs, the transfers that have happened so far. And we have to caveat it with that because the transfer window is still open and will be for the foreseeable. So, JG, we're going to go through that. Any comments before we get going, my good friend?
Well, you say the foreseeable. Does it still? I think it's still open by the season starts. No.
Yeah. So they changed it previously, but then they changed it back.
We're going to start with Arsenal, alphabetical order. Thanks to Sky Sports for providing this brilliant report with all the ins and outs. And
appreciate that.
The big signing really for Arsenal is Gabriel Jesus. I mean, I've got a lot of Arsenal fans. They're probably going to want me to talk about him. I am a fan. I think he is a brilliant signing when I saw it.
Yep.
You're looking at the market for strikers at the moment. There's not many out there who you think, oh, he's a real good player. And you can say, oh, well, he wasn't good enough for Man City, so why is Arsenal going to sign him? That's not going to help them get closer to City. I think that's a wrong approach to take, to be honest. I think Gabriel Jesus instantly makes Arsenal a better team. I think he's going to make all the players around him better as well because he's bringing that Man City work ethic, the title-winning Pep Guardiola football to the Emirates, and it's only going to help. And for 45 million, I don't think it's the worst deal in the world. It's not that expensive in the modern day. He's going to get
goals.
A
really good signing.
I think it's going to be 20-plus goals, maybe. Could be well up there. Maybe that's a bit pushing it. 15-plus, definitely. But you never know, around the 20-goal mark.
Mate, he's only 25 as well. So you look at 45 million. I know players move around nowadays, but they could get a good 5-6 years out of him. I know a lot of players run down their contracts nowadays, but I believe it's a 5-year deal he's on. So I think he's good value, mate. And he's one where, to be honest, if Chelsea would have signed him, I would have been really bloody happy.
They were desperate for a striker as well because they have obviously no Aubameyang now, no Lacazette. You've got Nketiah, who they've given the number 14 on re-shirt. Not sure about that. However, he has looked good in pre-season. But I'm not looking into that, as I keep saying.
I just have to retract something I mentioned earlier. The transfer window actually comes on the 1st of September.
Oh, okay. So it was some fake news for you, was it?
That feels a little bit later than usual, though, no? I think one thing...
It seems late, but, I mean, I'll take it. West Ham could do with all the time they can get, because I still feel like they're short in a few positions. That's Arsenal. I mean, some of these ones, we've got Zinchenko. That's another big signing from Man City. I'll echo similar things I said about Jesus. I think he is a really good signing. Another good one for him. I know there was a bit of talk about him wanting to play CDM, and that's not what Arsenal needs right now.
But he does play there for Ukraine.
He does.
So
But as a fullback, I don't know. That's where Arsenal, I assume, would want to play him. And I think that's where they played him during pre-season. However, with the stuff what's going on with Thomas Partey at the moment, I don't know how much you know, there may be a space in the middle for
allegations,
him. Yeah. But let's not talk about that too much. Let's move on. So we've got Guendouzi, who went out. I think that's a bit of a loss. I think he's a star player. However, he does have a bit of a bad temper. And I saw him fighting the other day as well. I think it was a pre-season match.
Yeah, Harry Clark out on loan to Stoke. That's going to be a big loss. I'm joking.
I didn't know who he was. So we've got Aston Villa next. We're not going to go. We're just going to be very brief on some of these.
Coutinho obviously signing on a permanent. I think that's a good signing. To be honest, Diego Carlos is someone who I've always rated at Sevilla. I haven't seen too much from a bit of him in the Europa League, stuff like that. Champions League last year, I believe it was in. But I think Diego Carlos is a decent signing. I don't know how much he can translate that to the Premier League, but I think 26 million, I think that's an okay signing, to be honest.
Yeah, the jury's out. But I think the big one, like you said, Coutinho, getting him on, getting him in a permanent transfer, great bit of business. They have lost Target, who I think is a good fullback.
To Newcastle, of course.
The Newcastle are looking quite good with some of their signings. Bournemouth, they've not really got anyone. They've got Ryan Fredericks from West Ham.
Yeah.
He's not a bad player, got a lot of pace, but I don't think he's going to really, I think they're still going to be fighting relegation, put it that way. Brentford,
I don't know what they're doing.
They've not signed anyone particularly, which blows me away. Do you know anything about Aaron Hickey?
Aaron Hickey, I believe he's a Scottish player. If I'm not mistaken, he's a Scottish player. Obviously, I can see it on screen. He was playing for Bologna, but I I believe he's Scottish, and he was in the youth ranks there. He might have even been in the youth ranks at Rangers and then went to Bologna. But I could be wrong there. I could be completely off the mark, but I know there's some sort of Scottish player that was playing in the Italian league. So let's see. Keane Lewis Potter is someone I've heard about. As I understand it, and I'm just going to look at his age now, I think he's a really good young player. Yeah, 21 years of age. I've heard a few. Yeah, I've heard a few murmurs about him. Aaron Hickey was at Hearts, not Rangers, so I was quite close. But yeah, he was quite a well-rated youngster in the Scottish league. That's why he ended up in the Italian league. So every time I see a European team signing a young British player, I always think they must have something about them. Do you know what I mean? Because it doesn't happen often. Yeah. But yeah, Keane Lewis Potter is someone I haven't really seen him play, but I know he's highly rated. But Championship's a lot different.
For me, the big stuff for Brentford is the fact they kept their striker. The name's just gone from my head right now.
Ivan Toney.
Ivan Toney, that's the one. He was linked with a few different clubs. Of course, he's British, which means big clubs would want him, even if he doesn't play. Even if they don't play him, because you need to have the quota nowadays in the Premier League. And he was rumoured to go around a different load of numerous clubs. I think he's a really good player. So Brentford have done well to keep hold of him. Ben Mee adding that Premier League experience in Burnley. He's a bit of a lump, isn't he? But I mean, you take what you can get. Certainly need the numbers.
Yeah, the only thing I think about Ben Mee, you've got to think how will his style of play that he's used to at Burnley translate to a more possession-based team like Brentford. We'll see. I think he might struggle to adjust, but I think it's a good signing.
Brighton. Not great, is it? Not a good not a good window at all. I mean, they got rid of their best player, arguably, in Basuma. Their other best player, who was actually voted Player of the Year for them, is on his way out maybe as well. Cucurella. Let's see if Man City can strike up a deal with him.
This is what I mean, mate. I said it earlier.
Maybe I've put Brighton a bit too high in my top.
Yeah, I'm looking. Oh no, I
can move them around. I've not announced them yet. I can make a few little adjustments.
I can't even see him on my list.
Here we go. The big boys from London, Chelsea.
Yes. I want to get
ever the declining team. Ever the declining team, in my opinion. They won the Champions League a few years, 2 years ago. They brought in Tuchel. He looked great. But now I'm starting to look at the way they ended the season and the way they've been playing. I'm not really that impressed with their transfer business. Barcelona beat them to every single target.
Oh, here we go.
Chelsea wanted. Barcelona were there. And they don't even have any money. Barcelona don't have any money, but yet they still beat Chelsea.
Mate, what do you mean about beat Chelsea? How do you go up against someone that's corrupt? That's like, all right, I'm trying to have a financial bit of warfare with you, yeah? And you're getting all your money from some corrupt offshore fund in Switzerland. Clearly, I can't compete. Look, I'm not for a second. Look, I don't want to get sued here. I know Barcelona didn't get their money from an offshore fund in Switzerland, but I will talk about it. I know exactly what they've done. They sold off their future TV rights. They sold a percentage of that. They've also refinanced the 500 million of debt, so it's now a longer term loan over a 10-year period rather than an immediate repayment that's required. Just a bit of financial knowledge for you there. So I know how they've managed to get the funds, but it doesn't mean it hasn't annoyed me the way they've acted in this market, trying to sign all our players on free transfers as well. As Pilaqueta they're trying to get now. You had Christensen move across there. I mean, for me, Barcelona right now, if I was to tell you what club I hate in the world most, it's probably them. And yeah, people might say you're a triggered Chelsea fan, but I don't know. I just find it a bit embarrassing. Like, have they not got their own scouting department? Did they have to off that to get some money in or something? So I don't know. It's a bit dodgy to me. But look, I mean, if I look at it in isolation, Raheem Sterling, I think he's a good signing. 47.5 million. I think
that was a good bit of analysis from you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, well done. Yeah.
You always get someone clapping afterwards when it's all over, don't you? But yeah, Raheem Sterling, you happy with him?
Yeah, I'm happy with him. I think he'll bring goals. I'm not sure yet how well he'll translate to the sort of steam engine that is Thomas Tuchel's system. But I feel like when you're a big player like Raheem, and if he can translate his football to a Pep Guardiola style of play, then why can't he do it for Chelsea? Let's see. Koulibaly, I
Just
have
quickly
my
on Sterling as well, and I
reservations.
had a point. I was watching a bit of the Fozcast the other day, and he was talking about the importance of location for football players. And with Raheem Sterling now coming home, because London is his home, that often gives a player such a big boost, which people don't realise, because people often don't look at the personal side of a player, and they're looking at always the goals, the assists, what they bring on the pitch. But to have someone coming home, I'm sure he's got friends around here. Maybe his family are quite happy to relocate. And I mean, it could give him that extra motivation, and we see better performance on the pitch. Because listen, if you're happy at work, you're going to do better. So it's pretty logical, really.
You got to remember as well, JG, he was from the Queen's Park Rangers Academy, which is just down the road from Chelsea as well. So he could even be a Chelsea fan. I'm not so sure. But yeah, Koulibaly, I have my reservations. I won't sit on it for too long. I feel like people talk about the experience, but we kind of already have that in Thiago Silva. So I wonder how much of a factor that will be, especially someone like Koulibaly, who's never really, obviously played at Napoli for most of his career, never really hit the heights of a Thiago Silva. I have my concerns. I think he might be, I hate to say it, I think he might be a bit of a flop.
I'm going to say it now. Early flop call from the liquid, Liam. I don't know. My memory of Koulibaly was in the Champions League with Napoli, and he pushed the player to the defending for him. Have you seen that? I mean, I don't think he's too bad. I don't think it's a bad one, but maybe you'd been better off with that guy from Sevilla, who Barcelona have just signed.
Yeah, Jules. Well, we did want him. And he's a left-sided centre-back as well, which is what we're in the market for. Yep. So we'll see. I think Chelsea are still in for Kimpembe. I believe we were looking at Nathan Ake to come back, which for me, I'm not a fan of that transfer. But there's another. We're also in for. I can't really pronounce it. Gvardiol. He plays in Europe. Not sure about him. I haven't really seen him, but let's see. Obviously, replacing Christensen, which is good to get Koulibaly in for. Lukaku's gone. Mentioned him earlier. Rudiger, I think that's a huge loss.
He was your best centre half, in my opinion.
Yeah. On his day, 100%. His consistency wasn't always there, but definitely the last year and a half since Tuchel came in, absolutely incredible player. And it's a shame he left. Really, I feel like. I always saw him as quite a Chelsea man. Like, he seemed to play with like his heart on his sleeve, and it kind of, I don't know. When Real Madrid come calling, people don't say no.
Yeah, that's true. All right, moving away from Chelsea, I know you could speak about them all night. Let's have a look at some of the other teams. We've got Crystal Palace. The only notable player they've got in is Doucouré. Not a bad sign in that one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's 3 years too late. Is Doucouré really doing much? But let's see how he does. He's got Premier League experience, of course. So yeah,
we've got Chris Richards from Bayern Munich. I'm not sure I know much about him.
He sounds like one of those like regenerated players on career mode. Like in like
seem like a real name, Chris Richards from Bayern Munich as well. It doesn't seem to fit the bill unless I don't know. I don't know if Mika Richards has a brother. But let's move past some of these. There's a lot of players they've released. Crystal Palace, actually, I'm not really big on them, to be honest. Let's move on to Everton.
I don't know. I like them, man. Sorry, just quickly. Patrick Vieira, man. But yeah, Everton, I think it's
you'll see what happened with my predictions. I've got them pretty low, I think. And I could probably say the same about Everton. I mean, for them, the transfer window's not been too kind. Their player who really dragged them out of the relegation scrap last year was Richarlison. And he's moved now to Tottenham. Without them, who have they really brought in? Dwight McNeil. He's got a brilliant wand of a left foot, come from Burnley. He's nothing special, is he? James Tarkowski, he's declining. He's not the same centre-half as what he was, say, 3-4 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago at a push. And Ruben Vinagre, I think did he play for Wolves last year? I think he's an okay player, but nothing special. For me, Everton's transfer business is not that exciting, and they've lost their best player in Richarlison. No.
I mean, for me, you look at the ins and outs. They've lost their flair, and they're turning into Burnley. You sign two players from... I know Dwight McNeil is a tricky player, but it just feels like they're going backwards a bit. And maybe these are the sort of players Frank Lampard wants. Maybe he wants a well-oiled machine. But I feel like Richarlison, as you said, is going to be a huge miss, man. You know, he has question marks over his temperament, but that geezer's a nutter and he can play football. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel with the money they got from Tottenham, I'm surprised they've not invested more. Frank Lampard, for me, still pretty unproven. Did he even do that great in the Championship? Not really.
I think that's a bit harsh, JG.
No,
I think that's
I think Frank Lampard, as a manager, listen, I'm not going to criticise him as a player. I know you love him. You can defend him forever. But as a manager, he's not quite done it. He's simply not done it. He divers around in his interviews. They're a bit of a meme, his interviews. It's a bit like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's interviews. And really, as a manager, tactically, he's not quite ever really reached the heights at all. It's early days, but it's just not been a great start to management.
I disagree. I think tactically he is good. I've seen him at Chelsea revert to a back five on occasion, go back four, switch up the formations. I think he is good at his in-game management. I don't really understand yet, and I don't think he does either, what his overall philosophy is in terms of does he want a team that retains possession? Does he want to be counter-attacking? It was all a little bit messy during his time at Chelsea. But yeah, I think you're a bit harsh, JG. He did get Chelsea in the top four with a transfer ban.
Okay, well, Fulham, the yo-yo club between the Championship and the Premier League, they always get relegated when they come up. Are they going to get relegated again? Wait and find out later on the video because we're going to be doing our 1 to 20. They did sign Andreas Pereira from Man United. I think he's not a bad signing for them. And, well, I don't know. They had a really good season last year, winning the Championship. Mitrovic was on complete fire. I mean, I saw how many goals he scored. I forget the exact number now last year in the Championship, but it was obscene numbers. Like, the guy is seriously good when it comes to the Championship. Gets to the Premier League, doesn't really replicate it. But I think maybe this year could be a little bit different. And Fulham, maybe, I don't want to give too much away, could be a bit of a surprise package.
Oh, there he is. I mean, look, Mitrovic is a good point, man. I mean, look at him for the national team where they beat Portugal 2-1, 2 goals from Mitrovic. I mean, the geezer's a player. I just don't know. I don't trust him at all in the Premier League.
Last time they was in the Premier League, he was on the bench a lot. And I don't understand why they weren't. I think there was a few issues maybe with the manager. I just feel like it's going to click. So I remember seeing him in the Premier League one time, maybe the time before, because they always get relegated every time they're in the Premier League.
Newcastle, right?
Was it Newcastle? And he was actually quite. He played quite well. Like, there was times I remember watching him against West Ham, and I was worried about him. Like, he was a real handful.
He's one of them ones. If you for 20 minutes just watch him, his movement's better than you think. Like, he's not just that big lump up top. He can
you
move
would like
well
him
for
at a big club, wouldn't you? I think he would work at a big club. There's even like a second. I don't know about Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich. I mean, they do have two promoting, don't they?
No, think about it.
Wait, say that again. Bayern Munich. Go. We're getting the react up.
No, but think about it. Lewandowski's gone. I'm saying it now. Alexander Mitrovic, get him to Bayern Munich, mate.
No, at a big club, he's only ever going to be second fiddle. He's only ever going to be second fiddle, but I think he's good at playing that role. Let's move on because we've got Leeds here. And Leeds, I remember, I don't know if it's still the same, but they were leading the transfer market in the Premier League for spending the most money. I'm not sure if it's still them. They've spent a lot of money. Is it money spent in the right place?
I think they're going volume over substance here. I know that Brendan Aronson, there's a lot said about him, but you have to look at that and think, with the manager from the USA, Jesse Marsh, is he being a bit biased in that he wants to sign an American player? Tyler Adams is in there. I haven't seen much of Tyler Adams. I hear he's a decent player. But you look down it, no one's grabbing me by the balls and going, I'm your daddy. No, but do you know what I mean? Like, I just look at them and like, you could put like a random name generator.
Screaming daddy to you? Perkins?
Do you know Sonny Perkins as a West Ham boy?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Do you know him or not?
No. Well, I don't know him
So,
personally, but I've watched him a few times. He was a real prospect. Some West Ham fans were a bit upset to see him go, but I can understand it. He's not going to get first team football this year, so it's one of them where do you wait it out at a club and hope for your opportunity, or do you go out and play? And I think ultimately it's the right decision he's made. He is a good player from what I've seen of him, but I don't even know if he's ready. I mean, to play at the Premier League is a big step up physically on your body. Yeah. It's difficult to adjust as a young player, and not everyone's the next Declan Rice. And I think for him, it may take a little bit, but don't get me wrong, he could be a really good signing for him. Got him on a free, of course. So I don't think that's a bad one. For me, though, I agree with you. I think there's too many players they've got in. And I think they're going to have so many adjustments to their first team because, let's be honest,
and they're all from outside.
Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. They're number one. They're number one player, number two. I know Calvin Phillips has had a few injuries last year, didn't play. Rafinha though is so good technically. I mean, what a superstar he is. And I feel doing what they've done here, it reminds me of Tottenham when they sold Gareth Bale. They sold Gareth Bale, 100 mil, went to Real Madrid, and they signed all them players. And ultimately, out of the bunch, I think the only one who was any good was Eriksen.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
What was it? Soldado, they had a few others as well.
Yeah,
just didn't work.
Lamella never really hit the highs. The one thing I will say, though, sometimes we get lost in like the top 6, top 8 bubble. And if you think of it from a team that's just been battling relegation, yes, they've lost their best 2 players, but if you look at that list of players they've signed, they probably are about the level that Leeds, it's not where they're aspiring to be, but where they are now as a relegation battling team, I think those players can improve that squad. Maybe not as much as they need. And the net effect
I think if
of
you
the
bring
players
too many in, I agree, but if you bring too many in at once, sometimes it's difficult for the team to gel. QPR did it as well when they spent all that money and ended up going straight to the Championship. You need to make a team that works, not about signing individual players all the time. But you never know, may work out. I just think it's a big loss losing 2 of their best players, and I think Leeds could struggle. Looking at Leicester, the only team in the Premier League not to sign a player.
What is that?
They've not signed anyone. And they've got quite a few outs here, but these just seem to be second fiddle players. I don't really know any of them, to be honest.
What are they doing? You think they came?
Jamie Vardy's not getting any younger. Jamie Vardy's getting older and older. Yeah. They've done very well to keep Harvey Barnes. I think that's probably one of their most promising young talents. I think he's a real
James
superstar.
Maddison as well.
James Maddison is another one. But they definitely need to get some fresh faces in there. Looking at Liverpool, of course, these will be challenging for the title. They've brought in Calvin Ramsey, Darwin Núñez, 85 million from Benfica.
He was 85 million?
Carvalho, 85 million, Smackaroonies.
Oh my. That can't be right.
85 million.
85. Oh, mate, nah, mate. All right, I'll say it now. I don't care. I know you said all that stuff earlier about, you can't look into pre-season. I've watched him move. He is going to be, and I know I said about Jurgen Klopp's signings, whatever. He's flopping, mate. I'm calling it now. He's flopping.
So you're certain he's flopping?
And that's all. Mate, I'm telling you, he moves slower than Minan through treacle. I promise you this, mate. He is not a Premier League striker. He's not a Premier League striker, mate. I'm telling you this now.
Listen, I am not big on him at all. But I can't pass judgment on a player in pre-season as much as you can. I mean, it gives you a little indication for sure. But ultimately, it's too early to say. For me, the price tag's big. And I'm not sure, a bit like you with his movement, I don't see, for me, Liverpool, the way they're so good is because they're counter-attacking football. They're fast on the break. Exactly. They get the ball up from Van Dijk. They move through the gears. Either goes through Henderson or Fabinho, Salah, Mane. It just works. It's very fluid, very liquid, some would say.
Liquid. Put him, get another one in.
That was a moment. I was waiting for it. It didn't come. There we go. I've got one right. Darwin Núñez, does he work with a liquid football? I'm not so sure. So that's where it could be a bit of an issue.
Can I give one more comment on Darwin Núñez? Sorry. I've lost my train of thought. No, this is what I'm going to say. I reckon he's going to be one of them ones. He'll score 10 goals or something like that. From the outside looking in, we'll go, he's flopped, he's barely done anything. But, and I'm not trying to call out Liverpool fans, they kind of did it with Firmino. They'll be going, nah, mate, he's the cog of the team. Without him, we wouldn't win this, we wouldn't win that. No, he's the cog of the team. Trust me. And it's just a bit like, come on. I mean, Bobby Firmino, oh yeah, he drops back. Sorry, man. I've never been a Bobby Firmino fan. I feel like they're just going to, no matter what happens, they're going to rate Darwin Núñez this season. That's what I feel like. He could score 2 goals and they'll say he's the best striker ever.
You're making some good points, but I'm not going to take the disrespect for Firmino. I think he is an important part of that team. Maybe not so much last year, didn't get much of a look in, especially now they've signed, is it Diaz? I forget the first name.
Yeah, Luis Diaz
from Man City, but it's Ruben Diaz.
Nice. Luis Diaz, I believe.
Luis Diaz, sorry, yeah. So we've got Neco Williams went to Nottingham Forest. Good signing for them. They've got rid of Origi, their Champions League man, and Karius released. I mean, it's about time, isn't it? It wasn't really ever going to work out. I don't know if any clubs picked up on him.
Release him to Guantanamo Bay,
so far.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just get him out. He needs to do like a commercial or something for Old Spice soap, or I don't know. It's it just ain't really his football ain't for him, man. I'm sorry.
What a steal for Bayern Munich! Anyway. 35 million for Sadio Mane, bargain of the century, by the way. And I'd watch out for Bayern Munich in the Champions League this year. Looking at the other contenders, Man City, they've been busy in the transfer market. They've got Erling Haaland, bargain at 51 million. The striker everyone wants, arguably number 1 in world football right now.
Yeah, for me,
he's striker. Is there a better one?
Hard to. No, I'm not even going to talk about it too much. He's a beast. Yes, we haven't seen him in the Prem, but we've seen him in the Champions League, and I don't need any more evidence that this guy is going to absolutely bang goals in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's just.
Might take him a couple of games.
I don't know if it will. Yeah. I mean, West Ham are playing City first, and I was going to get tickets to go to the game, but that's like I don't really want to watch Erling Haaland doing that stupid celebration after he scored like 4 goals in like 20 minutes. I think for his debut as well, for Dortmund, he scored a hat-trick.
Yeah, he's one of them ones.
He's one of them who's going to just come in like storming.
Yeah. It's like, do you remember Diego Costa when he first came in? I know it's a bit different. The age profile isn't the same, but I feel like Diego came in, man, and like straight away, boom, he was in. He could fit into any team in the world. And there's a lot said about, does he fit the style? Mate, come on. He can fit into any system. You could put him up top for Burnley. I bet he'd get 15, 20 goals.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe I think with him as well, he's going to like the cutbacks. We saw one in pre-season. There's going to be a lot of that like trickery around the box and cutbacks. And he's just such a big guy as well. Physically, the Premier League's made for him. Watch out for him. I think it's going to be difficult to stop him. Calvin Phillips, on the other hand, I think he's going to be bench warming. Not sure if he's going to be starting, but they needed him for English quota, especially after getting rid of Raheem Sterling. He went Chelsea. Big loss for them. Exactly. I think maybe he's been a bit underrated over the years. He is the second top goal scorer for Man City behind Sergio Aguero. And people forget his contributions to Man City. He has been a very important asset to the team and slightly disrespected at times because a lot of the City fans are saying, oh, well, I'm glad he's gone. Like, we don't need him. We've got him. Raheem Sterling, he can score a goal at a big moment.
Yeah, he's one of the. He had that one season where he just kept scoring in the last minute. Like it was like a few games in a row. There was one from outside the box. I can't remember who it was against, but he became a bit of a clutch player for probably a season or two. He did go off it a little bit last season, but I think that was only towards the start, and he actually ended up getting quite a few games. But yeah, I feel like he's one of them ones where. Yeah, I do respect him, by the way. And this is something maybe you hadn't thought about, but he got racially abused by a Chelsea fan. Don't forget that. So it takes some sort of like character and, you know, a real like man, basically, and a good leader to say, do you know what? This happened to me. but I'm going to make this move and I can win. Like, he doesn't need to win over me personally, but like, I don't know, it just takes quite a big man to do that. So I quite like his character.
I think really he's quite an intelligent guy as well. And he sort of looks at it as to say, I may have been racially abused by a Chelsea fan, but I don't think all Chelsea fans are like that. Unfortunately, you get complete idiots in all clubs, in all walks of life. It doesn't have to be involved in football. We see it in tennis. We see it all over the board in all sports. You get people who are racist and they just hide behind either a fake profile on Twitter, some random player. You get a lot of them. We get them in the live chat a lot when we do some live streams. And you get them in football stadiums as well. It doesn't mean all Chelsea fans are racist, but you definitely do get idiots across the board. And I think he's not going to be affected by that. And I'm glad he's just followed his heart and gone with the team, because he can be a success. Gabriel Jesus, we spoke about him. I think that's a brilliant signing for Arsenal. Let's move through some of these. Man United, they've brought in Eriksen, Malacia, and Lisandro Martinez. Martinez, 56 million. He's a short guy, so I think I'm going to let you speak about him because you're quite short as well.
Oh, yeah.
Are you taller than him or?
No, he's taller than me. I mean, look, I think it depends on how Manchester United set up. As I understand it, they are going to be sort of switching between the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-3-3. I don't like to read into the height too much because, look, if he's a good player, he's a good player, and he'll be intelligent enough to jump at the right times and stuff like that. And ultimately, a lot of the Premier League is played on the floor nowadays. Even teams like Burnley, they used to hoof it up. They don't really do that as much anymore. Corners is a concern. I think he'll do...
Can he handle an Erling Haaland, mate? Big Erling Haaland.
No one can.
Can he handle a Scamacca, world-class footballer in the making, young player from Italy, playing at one of the most prominent East London clubs, one of the biggest clubs in London, in fact, in West Ham? Is he going to struggle against the Scamacca, Liam? I think he does. Listen,
I don't think he's going to struggle against Scamacca.
I think he is.
I don't know about Scamacca, man.
Well, we're going to get on to Scamacca.
We'll get on to him. Yeah.
We've got Eriksen, good signing. Free. Quickly, I want to talk about Eriksen as well, because obviously that terrible thing happened to him with his heart. Was it the Euros World Cup? I forget now which one it was. It was definitely, because COVID messed it up. I think Euros was late. And it was horrible to see. Since then, he's played football at Brentford. He's coming back. I feel, for me, it's getting a little bit cringe, the fact that the Man United, the way they've announced him, they keep referencing that incident. And last season, there was a thing with Brendan Williams where he went in for a big challenge when he played for Norwich. He went in for a big challenge with Eriksen, and then he ended up realising who it was, and he hugged him. And to welcome Eriksen, they had Williams there, and they was like, "Oh, you remember me and the incident?" And I just find it a little bit cringe. And continuously talking about it for him, I think he wants to try and move past it. Of course, they're always going to speak about it, but they treat him a bit like a charity case. That's the vibe I'm getting. And I think you can see into his eyes, he just wants to sort of, okay, I get that happened. Can we talk about my football now?
Yeah. It's a little bit of a weird one, actually. I haven't seen a lot of that, to be fair, but it's interesting that they did that. I genuinely think, like, just let his football do the talking. He was absolutely fantastic last season. I look, regardless of what they've done with his, I just think all these announcement videos in themselves are a bit cringe nowadays. Like, what happened to the good old days of, like, you find out in a magazine, or maybe I'm sounding a bit old school there.
Scamacca. Have you seen that one? It's quite good.
Oh, God.
I'll send it to you
I
later.
don't want to see that. But yeah, maybe I'm being a bit cynical, but I'm not a massive fan of announcement videos in themselves.
Did Raheem not get one then?
I don't. Do you know? Not really, actually. Seriously, he didn't. I was surprised. I was a bit disappointed, actually. Now,
maybe that's why. Is that maybe why you're not liking him? Some of the Chelsea players didn't get him this year.
Juan Mata released.
Yep.
Paul Pogba
went on a free. I mean, one of the worst. It's got to be some of the worst business ever, isn't it, for Man United? The amount they got rid of him for a few million, bought him for ridiculous amounts, and got rid of him on a free to the same club. Juventus have pulled the wool over their eyes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like Pogba. Everyone wanted him. So I'm not going to say too much about, like, what they spent and whether it was wasted money. Because if he signed for Chelsea at that time, I wanted him as well, because he was such a good young talent and he did really well at Juventus the first time. I think maybe a little bit overrated in hindsight. Maybe some of the highlight reels, some of the long range goals he scored, people were focusing a bit too much on that. I personally hadn't actually seen a lot of him at Juventus, to be honest. I'd just seen a highlight reel and I was like, yeah, let's sign him up. Maybe in hindsight, our expectations were a bit too high. But look, good luck to him, man. I hope he can refine, or find his peak finally, because it's a long time coming.
Yeah. Jesse Lingard released. Talk about him later. I've got a lot to say. Edison Cavani released. Some big players there. Let's move through these.
Interesting to see where he'll end up.
Cavani
feels like Cavani feels like a deadline day Chelsea signing. I can just feel it in my bones. Do you know what I mean? Like, remember we signed Falcao?
Yeah.
Like after United had him and we were like scrambling around. We had no strikers. We were like, oh god, then we'll just get Falcao. I feel like it's one of them ones, man. I
remember when Falcao signed for Man United, and there was an angle you could have watched the first Man United game where there was a camera that just tracked Falcao. It was like a Falcao cam on Sky Sports. And they were like bigging it up. I mean, it was one of the worst watches I've ever seen. He just didn't. I don't know what happened to him. Terrible. Let's move on to Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle with more money than sense. They've not spent a lot of it yet, but they've got this Sven Botman, who's quite interesting. I don't know if you know much about him.
I'll be completely frank with you. I'm not going to be like one of these little Twitter merchants.
There's been a lot of people raving about him, but I'm not going to go. I've not watched him personally, so I'm not going to talk about him too much.
Yeah. Let's move on, because
Nick Pope,
all I'll say about Newcastle
is,
did they need him though? Have they not still got who's their goalkeeper? Begins with a D. Dubravka, is it? Yeah, he's pretty good goalkeeper. Do they need Nick Pope?
I don't know. I think Pope's still good. I guess I know what you mean. They've not got anyone where they probably need, but they kept hold of that Bruno Guimarães. I can't say the name. Brazilian guy, really good.
Guimarães,
exciting talent. And of course, they've got Trippier still, which is good. I think I like Alex. Alan Saint Maximilian.
Oh, mate. Yeah, I'd take him at Chelsea, to be honest. I think, to be honest, Newcastle are kind of doing the right thing. They're not going crazy.
Yeah.
They're not trying to sign people that don't want to play for Newcastle, like an Mbappe. Just build up your team. Build it up. You're not going to overnight become a top 4, top 6 challenger. I kind of like what they're doing with Eddie Howe. I think they will do well this season.
Nottingham Forest, they've brought in a lot of players here.
Jesus.
A lot of players. They've got Nico Williams from Liverpool. They've got Niakate from Mainz. We've got Awioni from Union Berlin. I mean, the Nottingham Forest fans have a lot of mouthfuls, definitely, this year. They've got Christina Aguilera.
Aguilera? Oh, Brandon. Oh.
There we go. They've got Omar Richards, another Richards from Bayern Munich. The Richards brothers. I feel like I'm missing a trick here. I don't know about these Richards.
I feel like they might be. I feel like they might be. All right, you keep going through that. I'm going to have a look at these.
Yeah, have a look at the Richards brothers. We've got Wayne Hennessy, Burnley on a free, and Jesse Lingard. I mean, I need to stop here. Jesse Lingard, a player who I sung his praises when he come to West Ham. He was a breath of fresh air. He helped us so much. He was getting assists every week. He was scoring so many goals. I think I saw the other day, 33% of his goals have been at West Ham, and he was only there for a few months. I mean, everything worked perfectly. All of a sudden, he's gone off, done all this TikTok nonsense, living his lifestyle. Fair enough. He's not a young kid anymore, by the way. He's 29 years old, approaching 30. And he had an offer on the table to come to West Ham, paying good money. And he's just gone to Nottingham Forest because they're paying 50 grand more.
Yeah.
It's just a ridiculous decision. It's a ridiculous decision. Jesse Lingard, I've got nothing nice to say about him. He's a money-grabbing mercenary, and I hope it doesn't work out for him.
I mean, mate.
I hope it doesn't work out for him.
I think you're a bit emotional, but what I will say is this.
Me.
No. But what I will say is this, right? I look back to last summer when what you were just saying, he could have gone to West Ham, right? He could have gone to West Ham this summer, but last summer, right? Rather than say, do you know what? I'm going to go to West Ham, keep the ball rolling, my career's back. He said, "Oh, Ronaldo's signed for United. I just want to get a few pictures and have the highlight reel of me passing to Ronaldo." That's basically why he stayed. It's pathetic.
Exactly. I remember when he scored the first Instagram thing, just him and Ronaldo doing like some little dance. Man. I mean, weird handshake. He's just one of them type of players. He just annoys me so much. And as much as I've tried to be so positive, and when he played for West Ham, I mean, I loved him. I kept singing his praises. I used to defend him. But now he's moved on, and the way he has, I've got not much respect for him at all. And I just don't want him to do very well. I think he should have just followed his heart and played for the football rather than the money. And if any player ever goes for the money, I never really look fondly on him.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you.
Right, let's keep going down. We're nearly done with the transfers.
Yeah, let's move through these ones. Southampton, who have they got of any good? Don't know many of these players, to be fair. Aribo from Rangers, not bad. Don't know many of the others. I know Sekou Mara from Bordeaux. I saw that one. I don't know much about him either.
In my eyes, this is a quick one. To me, they haven't strengthened on the basis of my knowledge. And that's all I can really say about Southampton. Yeah, I think they'll probably be all right.
I think Arsenal will be happy. Fraser Forster always pulls off a masterclass when Arsenal used to play Southampton. But he's going to be going to Tottenham. So second fiddle to Hugo Lloris. Moving on to Tottenham. Brilliant signings they've made.
Mate. Here we go.
They've had a good window. Ivan Perisic, Fraser Forster, like we just spoke about, Basuma, Richarlison, Lenglet from Barcelona, and Jed Spence.
I'm a bit shocked. I didn't realise they signed Lenglet as well.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Serious
mate. I mean, look, man.
With Conte as well. Conte. Man.
I mean,
let's add that in there.
I hate Spurs. It's in my blood. It's in your blood as well. But I have to say, right, that's a team, bruv. Richarlison, Basuma, Jed Spence. I've never even watched him play, but he sounds like he's going to be all part of it. Do you know what I mean?
He is quite good.
Yeah, Ivan Perisic is the perfect player to go at wing back for a Conte side. It's pretty incredible, man.
Well, we don't even know if he's going to start because Conte likes Sessegnon there. He played him a lot of for last year in pre-season. He's been playing Sessegnon as well. And Perisic's been on the bench. So, I mean, it's just good options to have. He's going to be rubbing his hands together, Conte. Spurs look dangerous. They've got rid of Bergwijn, never really hit the ground running. Carter Vickers, someone, I don't know if you've played football with him, but I certainly have.
I haven't, but I know he is in the local area. I haven't played with him, not quite at that level, but
he was defending against you one time. I scored a brilliant goal, top corner. He did struggle to contain me on that day, but I'm sure he's improved a little bit. Off to Celtic anyway now.
Going to Celtic, that's a good move for him.
Yeah,
it's good support there.
Let's move on to the biggest team in London, and that is the Cockney Boys from the East Side. West Ham, they've got Naif Aguard. Ooh. Alphonse Areola. Ooh. They've got Patrick Kelly. Ooh. They've got Flynn Downs.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. Patrick Kelly, mate. Yeah. Flynn Downs, mate. Flynn bloody Downs.
So where do you want to start? Flynn Downs.
I mean, I want to
start pass completion rate in Europe. The guy doesn't lose the ball, come from Swansea. He will be playing second fiddle. He's not going to be starting. We've got Thomas Souček there. We've got Declan Rice, one of the best players in world football right now. Flynn Downs, though, great player to come in. Naif Aguard, if you don't know about him, 6'3". What, Flynn Downs? I think he's pretty young. 21 maybe?
All right. Yeah, sorry. Back onto the budget Aguero.
Yeah, it's not Aguero, it is Aguard. 6'3", big, solid centre half. Rennes love him. I think he's a real good talent, and there's been a lot of play. I've been speaking to a few people in preparation for this actually, and they are French football experts, and they've been watching a lot of Ligue 1, and they say this guy's the real deal. And I'm excited to see him in a West Ham shirt. Unfortunately, he did suffer an injury
I heard about that.
in pre-season.
He's out until ankles next year, right?
No, he's not, but he's out for a bit. He's not going to miss the start.
No, I've heard he's out until 2023.
Surely not. I mean, I don't think.
I mean, let's check that after, but yeah,
Ariola, hopefully not.
I think he's a good signing. To be fair, did well last year. He was there, right, on loan.
Sorry, they're missing a big one.
Where's Scamacca?
Where's Scamacca? They've taken
he's coming to Chelsea.
He's gone back to Italy. Anyway, Scamacca should be there as well. And he was going to be going to PSG. PSG tried to get him on the last day when he was in London. They didn't. It didn't happen. 6'5", Ibra style centre forward. I think he's going to be so dangerous. I think we can still play Antonio, play him on the wing, keep Scamacca up there as a figure point. I think most teams should be really worried, especially Man United with their small centre half and Chelsea with an ageing Koulibaly.
I mean, look, I'm not going to say too much because I've got my reservations, but you just know he's scoring against Chelsea.
Scamacca.
Because the thing is, yeah, every time you little bloody bastard, mate, you're always like, Scamacca. And then you draw me in and it makes me hate him. So I start saying he's a bum, he's this, he's that. And then you know that he just turns up, bro.
Oh, yeah,
always
Chelsea,
Yarmolenko,
yeah.
Oh, man. Remember David Martin? Oh, mate. He was crying at the end of the game after a 1-0 victory. Pathetic. Anyway, mate, look, I'm interested to see. I love a big striker, so I haven't seen much of him. Let's see.
Talking of David Martin, he was released. That was his moment in the sun against Chelsea. That's all he really did against West Ham, and then released.
Sorry, I'm looking at that. Yeah, there. Yarmolenko as well, going to Al Ain. Al Ain are in the Qatar Stars League, the best team in the Qatar Stars League. And I think that's a really good signing for them. And I'll be following along with that journey.
If you want to subscribe also to Liam's podcast. It's not really a podcast. I know he calls it that, but he does a lot of watch-alongs for boxing and football. Go check that out. You can find it, link in the description. It is Liquidator. Liquidator? What's it called?
The Liquidator podcast. Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's very similar to this channel, really. It's just got less sort of graphics and
not music. So much moving parts, is it? A bit more basic. Yeah. But we do have Mark Noble, real servant to the club, being released. Of course, that's a sad day for all West Ham fans. I'm sure he'll be involved in some capacity. Yeah. And Alese, that one shocked me. Really fast centre half, played well in pre-season. All of a sudden, out of the blue, went to Sunderland and. I'm a bit shocked.
Maybe they
know something we don't.
Cash, yeah, exactly. Injury prone could be. Right, Wolves. We're nearly there. Don Plank from Dorking Wanderers, mate. I mean, what are they doing? I'm sorry. It's like you just know. I mean, based on his name, like, do you really think Don Plank is going to be one of the best players in the Prem?
No, I just know Don Plank scores against West Ham. Like you saying how, like, if I pick up a player, if you get something like weird, like it just does not work at the club and he's just terrible, they always score against West Ham. And I think Don Plank is that guy. I don't know what position he is. I've never heard of him before, but maybe Don Plank is the new Kylian Mbappe. Let's wait and see. Nathan Collins, really good signing from Burnley. He's a really good centre half. Okay. I didn't realise he went to Wolves, but I think he's going to be
it's quite exactly a bit of money, though. 20 million.
Worth it. I think that's a good sign. I'd have had him at West Ham. Moving on, Fabio Silva never really worked out there. Vinagre, like I said, he did move on.
That's a lot of outgoing.
Oh my God. Rid of a lot.
They got any players left?
Are you sure they got enough? And there we go. That summarises that.
Get rid of that jackpot. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, let's move on.